What's going on, people? Welcome to United View and welcome to a very special show in our lead up and build up to the game at Old Trafford against Arsenal tomorrow. Yes, we've done all the previews, all the banter, all those types of things, but I said to myself, I need to take a deeper dive into certain situations. We've been talking about a lot as a fan base. We've been talking about so many parallels with Arsenal, so many parallels with Mikel Arteta and why, Eric Ten Hag should be given time because of that situation, why he shouldn't because that's not comparable, all of these different things. And I thought, actually, you know what? The best thing to do, like we like to do here at United View, is to go and get it from source. Not what we think as United fans, what do Arsenal fans think of? And I need someone who knows their shit. And that person is James.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You know what I mean? The one and only, the truth, the oracle, James.
So we're here to talk about processes and all that. Is that the plan?
Bro, yeah. I mean,
okay. Yeah.
here's welcome, by the way.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me back.
Yes.
I always love being on this channel. And
absolutely.
I've actually watched a lot of these debates.
Yeah.
And you ever like type out a tweet furiously and then
yes.
go, no, I'm not, it's a Friday night, why am I doing this? And then
100%.
you just delete it, or you save it in the drafts. So I'm actually really excited for this conversation.
Good, and I knew you'd be a good person to do this because just the way that you break things down and the way that you are as a person, calm and measured, I know that you're going to give your honest, non-biased, no agenda, all that stuff. And I want this video to be that, actually, because I actually want to find out.
Yeah.
And I know you guys at home do as well. So, James, let me set the scene.
Cool, go for it.
Obviously, you haven't had your head under a rock. You know how bad Man United are. Eric Ten Hag's in big trouble.
Yes.
Man United are in big trouble. But things are changing. There is a new football structure that is being assembled as we speak.
Yeah.
Omar Barada is coming in from Manchester City. Jason Wilcox is coming from Southampton. And Dan Ashworth will be there, but he's on garden leave. And there's a lot more changes at football level.
Yeah.
So we're trying to do things differently. Now, what people have said with this season, with mitigating circumstances, that look, I mean, if you have that many injuries, how can you play your style of football? You just can't do it. Ten Hag had a good season last year, was rightly so praised for that, but this regression is not on him. This is on the players. The players are not listening. And then what they're saying is, some people are saying, look at Arsenal, for instance. There was a time when Arteta was on his last legs. I saw Arsenal fans on the documentary. Get him out the club. He's not good enough. The job's too big for him. We need someone with more experience. I'm done.
Yeah.
Eighth. And now we've just bottled top four to Tottenham. And then fast forward a couple of years, look at him now. So people are saying, give Ten Hag that same time. Arsenal did it, so can we.
Can you ask me if that's true?
Yes. Can we be like you? And if so, when?
So when I sit here and say, no, don't think he's the right guy, and you guys smash us 3-0 on the weekend.
Well,
you know what?
And this is less about the game on Sunday, by the way.
I totally get that.
This is a process video.
Let's remove all that. I want what I say today to still hold weight in 2 weeks' time.
Correct.
This has been a really interesting discussion because I think what Arsenal and Arteta have done, where I'm going to give the club immense credit, is they have shown that football and progression can come in a different way. The word process has been thrown around a lot, and you've seen, I think, the fewest manager sackings in a long, long time. And we went through it on DR Sports, didn't we, the other day, and how few of them, even Vincent Kompany, who hasn't been able to escape the relegation zone, Burnley seem to believe that they're better off sticking with him and his principles, because, they might go down, but they'll come back up and they'll be even better for it. So I think managers, because of look at Pochettino surviving, there was real, Chelsea did not want to sack Potter. They really saw him as the process guy, but it just got so bad. So it's really, I think the way to do it is to ask very specific questions around Ten Hag, and around maybe his style of play, around his results. Because if we start with results, right? This is one thing, and there's a few things that I think are certainly applicable. There's certain things that mirror each other. But one thing that doesn't for me is the results thing, when they talk about, well, look how bad it got for Arteta, 8th, and then 5th. I have a real issue with that, because he came in, Mikel, I think we'd already played 19 games. 26th, I think it was Boxing Day. 26th of December was his first game for Arsenal. And he finished that season okay, but then the pandemic happened. Then he went into the, the Project Restart. He won an FA Cup. The FA Cup is actually, his only full body of work from that first season. He
Yeah.
inherited a team that were in terrible form. And then the pandemic happened and things were different. Now everyone was affected by that. I don't want to pretend that it only affected us, it affected everybody. But when you look at that 8th place finish, this is why I always talk about context. People talk about it almost as if that was one whole terrible season. That season there were, and people, it's crazy to say, we can probably say it now from more of a position of strength because of 2 back-to-back title races. But we're talking about a 3-month spell where it was so bad. It was 1 win, funny enough, against you guys at Old Trafford. And other than that, it was loss, draw, loss, draw. But there were moments like we lost at home to Leicester 1-0, but we outshot them. We had more of the ball. We should have scored in the first half. We had, I think, a goal disallowed that shouldn't have been. And we got done on the counter-attack. Burnley, loads of chances, Aubameyang own goal. So it's not that we weren't having, it wasn't that weren't terrible results, but it also felt a little bit like we're a bad team, but are we this bad? Are we 15th bad? Like that's how low we were in the table. Now, where I think that isn't quite fair with Ten Hag, you can say Ten Hag's almost had a more extreme version of Arteta's first year, where he didn't just win an FA Cup like Arteta won the FA Cup. He won a Carabao Cup. Okay, it's not the FA Cup, but then he finished 3rd. It was a really good first season.
And that was after
for
Man
Ten Hag.
United's worst finished ever.
Yes.
Under Ollie and Ranić when it was on the floor.
Absolutely. It was a really good first season. I don't think United fans should do revisionism on that. Like, oh, well, we actually is good. No, United had a really good first campaign under Ten Hag. Some bad defeats in there for sure. But then I think the second season is significantly worse than anything we saw under Arteta when it got really bad. And with that, I think we finished on 60 points that season. We finished 8th. Now I know ultimately it's 8th. I get it. That's all anyone cares about. But that 8th place finish on 60 points, I think was more points than you got the season after when you finished 6th. I think you got 50 something. So sometimes, like the league just shapes up weirdly, and on another year we were still bad, but maybe not 8th bad, maybe Europa League or something. So look, I'm not trying to pretend that was a better season than it was. It was terrible, but there were little signs. Like it was a really bad 3 months, and then our second half of that campaign, there was a degree of consistency. Oh, actually, no, there wasn't. There was signs of life, and with Man United, I feel like it's just got worse throughout the campaign. I don't actually think you've seen, like with Pochettino and Chelsea, that sense that, oh, but it might turn out, oh, that's actually quite a good result. Oh, 2-2 at Villa from 2-0 down. Maybe, and then they build it with a few wins. I think United have looked really struggling for identity all season. That's why I don't quite like the comparison.
How much of that is, I know you like your coaching, your tactics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When you do have as much injuries as we've had.
Right.
This is because this is another thing.
Yeah.
His 2 first choice centre backs out. No left back all season, pretty much.
Yeah.
Central midfield, decimated. His target, big target, put number 7 on his back, Mason Mount, 60 million. So they're even if we didn't know what the plan was, because I can't believe you bought him, where's he going to fit? We didn't even get to see.
Yeah.
Rasmus Højlund with no support because Martial hasn't completed 90 minutes in 3 years, still on the wage bill.
Yeah.
The Jadon Sancho situation, Mason Greenwood situation,
Cristiano.
Anthony situation,
I know it was last
Cristiano
year,
last year.
Fair.
How much of mitigating factors are they that will halt progress for a year, taken into context into a new year with a new structure, with people who will hopefully, they look like they're endeavouring to say, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
So you're now free to do this. And the very Man United that Ten Hag signed up to be a part of has actually changed the most it's changed in like 18 years. Yeah. This is the most significant change we've seen at Man United since the Glazers have been there. Yeah. So how much of that would you bring into it?
Now, so people might have heard that first segment there and thought I was being quite scathing on Ten Hag.
Yeah.
But I actually really sympathise on the injury front. I actually think this is something that, because that old phrase, it's Manchester United. Because of that, people don't really want to talk about the injury front. But that has been massive, especially when you're a manager that wants to play out the back and your defence are your platform. People think that defence is the platform for being sturdy, difficult to beat. It's a platform for starting to play. Like what your attacking players do, the positions they get in the pockets, it's all made out of the angles and areas and progression that comes from your back four. I think Dallow's a good player. I like Dallow. But to not have Varane, Lissandro Martinez and Luke Shaw for the rest of the season, basically you've missed them all campaign, that's massive. And I really feel for him in that sense. And again, we go back to the comparisons. This is why I think there is a fair comparison with Mikel. He inherited Socrates, David Luiz, Chambers. who else is at centre back? He had to sign Pablo Mari on like a loan and then a small fee just to get something.
What's his name right back as well, didn't you?
Bellerin.
No, the other guy.
Cedric.
No.
Who am I missing?
Maitland-Niles, didn't he have to play there?
Maitland-Niles did a little bit.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And there were games where I was watching Callum Chambers at right back thinking, this guy's a centre back, why is he right back? And he's bombing up and down the pitch. And I'm thinking, what are we doing? But now I see it because now Ben White's that guy. Similar profile, supposedly good on the ball, 6'1", 6'2", a centre back / right back. And now we see how it can work. So absolutely, like sometimes it's just the player that unlocks the potential of a particular system. And it's a domino effect. One thing goes wrong and it drags everything down with it.
Which is Ten Hag's main argument. He keeps saying it.
But I don't see what even good players can do with a system that, in theory, is meant to be compact like that, but looks like this. I don't know how he can kind of keep saying that he wants... Well, maybe he's not saying it word for word, but he's basically backing his talk, right? He's saying, this is how we want to play. This, yeah. And then you're watching these open spaces. You're watching a team that presses and sits back at the same time. And there's something about that I just think, give him his players. I'm still not convinced this works. But what the hell do I know? Erik Ten Hag, I say this about managers because it's true. He'll have forgotten more about football than I'll ever know. But something doesn't feel right there. But I definitely sympathise on the injury front because you guys have been decimated with injuries. And that's not just a case of, you didn't have Casemiro for a lot of the campaign, am I right? And now he's back and he's having to play centre-back. Mason Mount, United fans, I think, might consider this an unpopular opinion. I think he's a really good signing.
I think a lot of fans don't like it. I've keep saying I think he's a good, intelligent footballer. Yeah. He's not someone who is very, very good at one thing.
Yeah.
But when there's a good system with good footballers around, he can be an important cog in a good team.
Yeah, I agree.
think he can.
I also think he needs to be ruthless, Ten Hag, on how much is he really getting from certain players. Bruno Fernandes divides the fan base, and I get it because he produces absolute quality that maybe no one else in the squad can. But over a 38-game season, are you getting enough from him? And it's those kind of ruthless decisions. I think Aubameyang was somewhat comparable. You knew you could get goals from him, but did you get over a 38-game season everything you needed for the team? Well, Rashford's a fascinating one because there's a debate in the Arsenal fan base. Would we go for him? And I don't... Some people say never. What, are we questioning his professionalism now when he's always been someone who's kept fit, worked hard? When I say kept fit, I mean looks after himself. I know he's had some moments, and I get all that. That's all worth a conversation and not, it shouldn't be ignored. But this is someone who has seemed to always take his football, his brand, his appearance very seriously. And I don't know, just in one season from what he did last year, something that's all gone. I don't know about that. So I'm just like... I'm really not sure. Like, I really don't know. I don't think... I'm leaning towards Ten Hag hasn't shown anywhere near enough for me in this season. He should have done more to, stop the bleeding and just go, I don't have the players I need, but I need to find a solution.
I hear that. That's the bit. That's the bit I hear the most. Me personally.
Yeah.
As a United fan, and it's taken... People say Fletcher always on the fence, or it's taken me ages to get to... There's only 3 games left of the season, and now I'm like... I don't think he can turn this around. Because of that, I'm like, I know there's injuries and stuff like that, but to throw us out there like that, and then the immediate thing is like the players aren't listening to him. Well, last time I checked, if you're the manager, that's also not a good thing then. If you can't get people to follow.
Yeah, they did last year, why not now?
Exactly. Yeah. So, and then it's, these players always get the manager sacked, and I go, well, let's actually dive deeper into that. A lot of the players who are actually playing at the moment aren't them same players. Luke Shaw's been gone the whole year. David De Gea's not there anymore. Rashford hasn't been playing. Bruno's okay, cool. Lindelof's not the starter. Casemiro, Eriksen, Højlund, Anthony. These are all new crop of players. Kobe Mainu, Garnacho. And I'm not saying it's these young kids' fault, by the way. But what I'm saying is, let's not do the lazy thing and say it's still Andreas Pereira, Matic, Mata, Lingard, Eric Bailly. It's not. This is a whole different crop.
Well, he's also... There are 3 things in particular when it comes to Ten Hag that... And 2 of them, really, the word for me is contradiction. Now, you fill me in because you follow this all the time, so you let me know if I'm sort of misquoting what he's saying. But didn't he come in and sort of say, well, look, the way I played at Ajax, I can't play that. I can't play that way now because I don't have the same players.
Yeah, I need Ajax, but I need different types of players.
That doesn't sit with fans when you spent £400 million. Like that's
and
a
the players
contradiction.
you brought aren't good.
Right. You also can't say that very sentence of, well, I can't play that way because of the players. And then when things aren't going right, say, well, I don't have my players to play the way I want. Well, then look at what you got and
make it work.
So, there are contradictions there across the board. And then it brings to a third and final thing, which for me, I think the way he feels like he avoids responsibility. There's always well, Garnacho was onside. Well,
that one gets Arsenal fan because he does. He
always
goes.
He always does. Well, I had a little chuckle when you beat Coventry because of basically the same thing, and I sort of think, well, I don't know if Ten Hag's going to bring this one up now because the same technology, but it's little things like that he brings up. But there's other things. He's talked about. It's never his fault, right? That's how it
says we're exciting.
Extraordinary.
Exciting.
He's not wrong about that, actually.
Because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Basically.
And I argued with KG about things like that, and I'm like, I don't like the things he's saying in the presser. The pushback is he's got to batten down the hatches. He's got to bite down on the gum shield. He's not going to cuss the players out. But I'm saying you can do that without going too far left where you sound deluded, and then you lose people.
Sorry to cut you there, Flex. But because. Okay, but if we're going to do the Arteta comparison, then I'll tell you that in times like that, Arteta was saying to the press, he was saying, my chest is here, hit me. Like that's what those were his words. When we beat Liverpool, I think 2-1 in the sort of Project Restart, and they were title winners, they were trying to get 100 points, so they weren't even, they might have been hung over a little bit, but he was asked, how big is this to closing the gap? He was like, look, we're miles off. Where's that quote from Ten Hag? And maybe it's out there and people in the comments can let me know, but where's that quote from Ten Hag where he's actually gone, this isn't good enough.
He said the opposite.
We've got so much to do and I know that, but let me work. He seems to be like, no, it's not my fault. If I had everything, we'd be there.
He said some wild things. Yeah. He said, I can't remember who we lost against. What's it? Oh no, we beat Sheffield. Can't remember who we lost against. And then he went way
through the 13 defeats.
Yeah, honestly, mate. I swear to you, he said, City found it. I think it was when we drew 2-2 against Bournemouth. I think it was then.
No,
Brentford.
Yeah.
Someone
Brentford.
mad.
You drew 1-1 against Brentford.
And he went, so did City, mate.
I think it was one of the wildest XG tallies of all time. And he went, but City struggled to beat them.
Do you know what I mean? So you do lose people. Look, to finish off, this process thing and trust the process. To kind of finish it off, to give us your kind of verdict as a neutral and somebody who's gone through a process. Is Eric Ten Hag going through something similar to what Arteta has gone through, and you see it as be patient because you can get there? I've been there, I've seen it. Or do you look at it and say this isn't as comparable as you think it is? I think you should make a change. I don't know, that's a big question.
I feel like I've been quite critical of Ten Hag. I think where I've really given him where I've defended him in this video is really on the injury front. And I think that does get really underplayed. Yeah. This is a really tough one. I don't think the situations are as comparable. The whole manager struggling at a big club, so do you stick with them until they turn it around?
Just quickly, the bullet points of why it's not comparable. Is it quality of squad? The results looked better. The performances were better. What are the bullet points?
I think
to summarise.
Arteta has spent money. Let's not pretend he hasn't. But the resources he's had in his first 2-3 seasons is actually very little excuse for why he hasn't been able to instill the brand of football he wants. Yeah. That's even forgetting the injuries, but I appreciate that's a part of it.
Okay, so budgets?
Time. It's been a whole season playing this badly, let's be honest. Yeah. You didn't even end last season that well.
No.
So it's been basically 12 months of poor performances. Yeah. And I don't think Arteta's stint was ever that long. I think you saw signs of life, even though we had a lot of catch-up to do in that campaign. Where I think it's comparable, or let me say this, where I think it's totally understandable, both managers had to really make changes above. People will forget that with Arteta came, and it wasn't his decision necessarily, but Raul Sanllehi was in and out. We've had a CEO change, I think, in that time. Edu had his role kind of change as well to work more closely with him. And Richard Garlick came in, and lots of other people. I think Tim Lewis, which was one of KSE's lawyers, came in and was a part of it. So lots of change happened as well.
Which is starting to happen at Man United.
Right.
Now, so you think that's significant?
All that is crucial.
Yeah.
Now, Erik ten Hag, I think the way he's talking isn't what's comparable. I felt Arteta spoke and took more responsibility on personally, but I don't listen to everything Ten Hag says, so I might be wrong. I do think, though, where I will just give some balance around it all off is, like, Ten Hag isn't clueless. He's obviously not. He is a football manager who has, won titles with Ajax, got to a Champions League semi-final, beaten some of the best managers in the game last season, bettered Klopp, bettered Guardiola in matches, bettered Arteta in matches, and has done things, and he's brought silverware, and he's got to another final, and he's got you to the Champions League. So he has shown he can do it. So I just always think with everything, there's got to be a little bit of drawback, which is not he's rubbish, he's terrible, get him gone. The question should more be, if Ineos are starting this big rebuild, the question shouldn't be, is Ten Hag the guy they should back? They should put Ten Hag next to Potter, next to Southgate, next to Tuchel, next to whoever, and they just very honestly go, who is the guy we want who better represents what we're trying to build going forward with the team that we've built? You ask the team of all these people we've hired and you go, which one of any of these managers is the guy you want taking this club forward?
And apparently it's Southgate.
Which for me would be mental. But that's more how I'd look at it, not Ten Hag, you're rubbish,
I've said that
gone.
it needs to be about an alignment of visions.
That's it.
Do you know what I mean?
Because the
do
platform,
they see it working or not?
The platform, he has had it difficult, Ten Hag. He absolutely has, as the set falls apart, as we mentioned his name.
Absolutely. That's what the set thinks of Southgate, mate. Yeah?
Yeah.
Southgate, lights fall down.
Yeah, just fell on the floor, just passed out thinking of it. He's not had it easy, Ten Hag. I totally and utterly acknowledge that. But he's also had resources, and he's also made too many excuses. Forget the whole, do you sack him because he's not the right one? You just, as a group, as a collective, end the season, and then you look at your options, you look at the shortlist, and you go, person A, that is my guy. That's how I think you look at it.
Yeah. Okay. And to finish off, look, we are going to be playing on Sunday. Just really quickly, give me a score prediction.
Well, I've said 2 on Arsenal because I can't believe you guys are having conversations about revenge over the 8-2. I can't believe you're mentioning that because but football's never like that. I don't know why people see results and just go, well, 4-0 Palace, so Arsenal will score 7. Yeah. It never works like that. You've got players that, for all I've said, produce moments. He saw that against Liverpool. So I'm nervous about that for sure. But you've got injuries, and I'll be really disappointed if Arsenal don't take advantage. It's not about disrespecting United. It's about
we're shit.
It's just acknowledging what these footballers are capable of doing. Yeah. And Bruno Fernandes, I thought, was awful in the first half against Liverpool, and he scores from the halfway line. Second half came to life. I'm thinking, all right, Bruno, and I
that's
enjoyed
what he can do. That's what he's. I don't think he's even going to play. Don't know. So.
Would you rest Alessandro Martinez back in training? Would you rest them for the FA Cup final?
I just think for me now the season's so gone that it's like, however we need to best manage the minutes so they can get minutes going into that. If that means that you're going to agree with Alessandro that he can come on for 20 minutes or he can play a half and has to come off, then do it. Then do the same again on Wednesday night with him against Newcastle. Then do the same again with him against Brighton. Then let him start against City. Same with Rashford. Same with Bruno. We've come too far being shit where the season's not salvageable. Yeah. Of course, I don't want to get smashed 5-0 at home to Arsenal and then consecutively get smashed 5-0 by Newcastle at home, then go away to Brighton. But essentially, the only way we have a chance against City is to have better individuals playing because we're not a good team. So we need so if we can field a team, even if they haven't played in ages, ring rust, all that, but if we can field a team with Luke Shaw, Martinez and Varane, with Rashford and Bruno, we give a puncher's chance.
Well, absolutely. And actually, sorry, just one final thing is that this is all part of it. Like when you're talking about the players and the recruitment and the development and the future, it's also looking at all these candidates with Ten Hag and going, hey, Thomas Tuchel, how would you want the club run? And if he says, well, I want to say on transfers and I want control of this, you might go, all right. And if you talk to Southgate and he goes, well, I don't really trust youngsters.
I'll take anything because I'm happy to come to Man United, so you tell me what you want.
You don't quite want that either.
Which is what Gareth Southgate would say.
Well, that's true.
That's what I mean.
You need that guy who goes, well, what's your model? And this is how I get the best out of what you got. So there's a lot of work to do behind the scenes. None of this it's not the kind of, I think fans like to think they can look at the options and go, him.
Yeah.
Not
Don't
when you're
work like
doing
that.
an overhaul like this. It's
Yeah.
not. You don't have the platform. And when Chelsea were in their pomp hiring and firing managers, they had everything in place for that manager to come in, succeed for 2 years and go.
Yeah. That
this
was
is-
the model.
Yeah, this is something completely different.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, James has said that we're rubbish and don't try and do this Arteta thing that you lot try and do.
For what it's worth,
I'm
I don't
joking.
think Ten Hag's the guy. If
Yeah.
I'm being really
Yeah.
honest, I don't.
Overall, don't think he's the guy. Okay. You heard it there from James. No agenda there. That is James's opinion. Let us know how you think. I'm glad we've done this video though, in all honesty, because it was all banter aside and just to get into some real aspects of both sides of the arguments, because so many times in this period, people are at loggerheads, people are having different opinions, people are saying it's just like the Arteta thing, give him time. Some people are like, no, that's nonsense. Who better to hear it from than an actual Arsenal fan who's gone through it with that manager? I hope you've enjoyed this video as well. Check out James on AFTV and your own channel, by the way, James B.
Just James B. is
Just
the name,
I
yeah.
tell you what, mate.
Thank you.
We're
Appreciate it.
flying over there, mate.
I appreciate it.
We're doing really
Thank
well.
you,
So
yeah.
link is in the video
Thanks,
description
man.
below. Check out
Thank you.
James's channel as well. And we'll see you in another video very soon. Take care.